Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I don't have a bingo with this rack, and I've got quite a few scoring tiles. And I'm thinking about playing num, which would leave a decent rack leave. Just wondering if there's a 5-letter play which gets one of my scoring tiles doubled, which would be better. But I don't think there is. Well, what I do have is bump, which is better than num, for 20. Wow, fantastic rack. I am surely bingoing with this. Ventos and Votines are good. Do I have anything beginning or ending in U? And realistically that's going to be beginning with U. So I have the un prefix. That doesn't feel really promising with the V. So maybe there isn't a play in column 8. What about a double-double in column 11? The S would need to be in exactly 4th place. So I've seen Ventos and Votines, neither works. Let me squiz through the alphabet and see what other 7s come to mind. That's Covents. That's the Ventos rack. Gosh, that looks like there should be something there, but I'm not seeing it. Still not seeing anything. Again, that looks like there could be something there, so I've got the over prefix with this rack. Stroven, not good. I really feel there is a 7-letter bingo with this rack, but I'm not seeing it. Okay, so the double-double lane is no longer a 7-letter lane. I'm just going to finish looking for 7-letter plays. Okay, so not hugely fruitful. HM only takes an M underneath it, so Ventos in row I has been interrupted. I do, however, have that in column 13 because our takes an S. It also takes an I, but I didn't see a 7-letter play with the blank as an I. Now, what about column 11? This rack plus a U. Well, I do. I have Von 2s, which looks promising. Do I have something which is a double-double? So something US. I don't think so. So Von 2s for 81. Is that going to be more than Ventos? Yes, it is, fractionally. Okay, not great. I don't feel there is a bingo with this rack, but it's balanced and I have scoring tiles, and right now I have an 80-point lead. I've got the ABLE ending with CEG, so I don't think there's anything with that ending as an 8. Von 2s takes a D and an S after it. Okay, just the single tile by my opponent, but 35 points. What to do about this rack? The V stops me playing parallel to Von 2s, unless I'm starting a lot lower. It's tempting to sort the rack out. And by that I mean just play off a large number of tiles. Something like Billace, perhaps. What about a play through the N? I certainly would like to play off the B and the G. The C's quite bingo-y, so I don't mind that staying on my rack, but a player beg perhaps somewhere would go quite well. Now, I like this, because beg here interrupts row J as a bingo lane for hooking von 2s. And it also starts a ladder down to the bottom left, which is fine by me as long as I'm ahead. And it's really giving very little away. It's simply inviting the ladder to be added to, although there is of course the potential right now for a bingo to play in row J. The score isn't great here, just 15 points, but the rack leave is good, and it goes quite well with the N of von 2s. I'm going with this. Now, what about clavate? I think clavate is good. There's nowhere for it. Our only takes an I and an S after it. I think clavate takes a D. Yeah, so clavate is good. But there's nowhere for it on this board. Wow, nice bingo by my opponent. So, he now goes into the lead. And the complexion of the game changes because there's nowhere for my bingo. It just fails to play in row J. It doesn't play in row G. Can't see anywhere else for it. There is a bingo lane in column 12 for bingos beginning between the E and the R. So that would have to begin with an A from my rack, and I don't think clavate has got an anagram. So this rack plus V, E or N. Not seeing anything. How to sort the rack out? Well, I can play clave, and this isn't really a ladder because it's sticking floaters, more floaters out in the open than you would with a standard ladder. But right now I don't want a ladder. I need floaters because I'm behind. Decentish score, 24 points. Not hugely dangerous because the V doesn't allow parallel plays underneath it. Rack leave okay, but fairly ropey. Is this really the best I can do? Just 24 points? Well, I think it is. Not good. We're dead level, but opponent's on turn, so I'm a tempo behind. And this is a grim rack, no scoring tiles at all, too many vowels, and duplicates. So I'm probably looking here at playing something like auto for a score in the teens, which is a bit grim. That does play creating OBE, but it's sticking an A above this double letter square, so I will probably not be doing that. I'd prefer to play it in column 12. And column 12 would be quite good. It would be introducing new floaters. I'd like to keep this E of von 2s ready and available as long as I'm behind. So I need to check. Now, what about auto load? I think auto load is good, and right now I have that through the L of clave. I think it's good. I think it's good. If that's blocked, I have in mind to play auto and ear. And I think opponent is going to be attracted to the floaters in clave. The most recently played move is often a magnet for one's opponent. I've got the out prefix, but that isn't particularly promising. 14 minutes on my clock, 15 on my opponent's. I might be confusing auto load with auto dial. But I'm not. I think they're both good. If my bingo is blocked, do I have something better than auto? I've got a D for going on the end of Von 2s. Fantastic, my bingo is not blocked, and my opponent's play less than 30 points. UH takes nothing after it, so he's not creating a new hotspot that he'll have first shot at. So auto load for 72. Not totally dreadful, but not a bingo either, or certainly not initially a bingo. I've got a scoring tile in the C. I think if there is a bingo here, it's likely to be through a consonant, so I've got the N of Von 2s to consider. Leo Decian would be good, but that's only one I, and it's 9 letters long. There could be a 9-letter play ending N blank R, N something R. What about the D of auto load? Close to diabolic. Well, nothing's coming to mind. I suspect there are some 8s here, but possibly not with the floaters on this board. I have Iliad in column 2, which takes out this hot spot next to the A. There's still the Z and the J, which could be a 60-point play there. So it'd be good to take that out. And good to turn over tiles when there's not much I particularly want to hang on to on this rack. Even the best possible rack leaves not going to be massively positive in value. So what prefixes and suffixes do I need to consider? I've got dia and die, and I've got the IC ending and the alic ending. Just not seeing any 8s here. I think if my opponent had a J or a Z, it would probably have come down by now. If it remains available, is Iliad the best I can do? What would that leave? It would leave CO. Well, that's not a bad rack leave. CO has some synergy. "12 minutes on my opponent's clock." Right, just 18 points for my opponent, and I think this makes it easier to play Iliad because I'm no longer providing access to this triple word square which my opponent has taken. I could play Cilia in this same spot, so this is 27. I could play Cilia for 22, 5 fewer points, but Cilia denies access to the triple word square at the top left, whereas Iliad, not only did it provide access, but it placed a vowel next to this double letter square. And DO versus CI, probably not a huge amount between them, so I suspect taking score, rack leave and the board into account, there's not a huge amount between these moves, so I'm going with this one. Just one thing to consider. Let me momentarily take this back. And do I have a bingo through the T? That looks a promising floater. Now, conidial is good, so if there were a floating N, then I think that would be an 8. But is there something through the T? Not that I can see. I'm going with Cilia for 22. I draw the Z, and I've just covered up the hottest spot on the board for it, but that's okay. I have a 50-point lead. But still quite a few bingo lanes and floaters on this board, including 7-letter lanes. And they're scattered around the board, so it's not going to be possible to close them down. I've got an I for going underneath the Q, but I don't have any ILO words. Still 2 S's and a blank to come. I would have frizzado through an A. I could play fries down onto the E. I'd quite like to get rid of the F and the Z because they're non-bingo-y and this is a pretty slender lead. Just 24 points. Fizz would leave a better rack leave. I could play that here. Fizz for 38, nothing goes in front of the Z, only a Z goes after the Z. I'm interrupting the auto loads hook, or removing it actually. Rack leave, 4 I's, 2 O's to come, slightly vulnerable. But 38 points is a lot. Fries would have a worse rack leave and would score less, just. Am I missing something much better? I've still got the D for von Toosed, but I can't see anything big with the Z. What about Bez? Do I have a 6-letter play beginning with the Z? Don't think so. 11 minutes on my clock. I may have a play across from L1, but that would provide access to the bottom left. Triple word square, so I don't wish to do that. I am creating a hotspot in column 4, but that's okay. I'm going with this. Not a good rack, however. I've got a very good scoring tile in the J. I'm concerned now about the S's and blanks, none of which are on my rack. A bingo for my opponent would definitely give him the whip hand. OE only takes an S after it. Great, just 22 points for my opponent, so I carry on limping my way through the game with a lead. What can I do with the J? Fatty has provided nothing. In fact, it's inhibited the bingo lane in row K. That would require a V, and both have been played, but it is creating a new lane in row M. So back to this rack. I'd like to play off the J and the I. 2 Ds left, otherwise I was thinking about playing JIN with the D to make gin next turn, but with 2 out there, I don't think that's just the right thing to do. So what can I do with my J and my I? I could play jibe. Such a low score. Only 14 points. There must be something better. Can't see anything onto this E. Can't see anything which makes one twos. No jod or jid words. I could play gin. Only 14 points. Must be something better. J's a nice tile. But actually, there's very little, very slim pickings on this board. I could play jar, but that's keeping double A. Through a K, I may have Pirojki. K not available. I could play join. Shame I haven't got the E for joiner. 19 points. Let me look at the remaining vowel situation. 16 out of 36. So a fairly balanced bag. Join for 19. I don't think the J's massively dangerous in column 8. And it's inviting a play in row E, but any such play would take out column 5 as a bingo lane, which would be good, as long as I'm ahead. But join is providing a very easy spot for my opponent to play RE or NE. Yeah. I think that's pointing me away from it. Only 2 O's and 3 I's, so not as vulnerable a rack leave as it could be. I'm going with gin. Well, can't see a bingo here. I quite like gin as well. It's taken out two floaters, two useful floaters in the E and the N. I've got primo next turn and do rather. If that isn't taken, I'd quite like to turn over a lot of tiles with this rack. And that's partly to get the S's and the blank. Great, only 24 points and the W not a useful floater. My opponent has, however, taken out row E. Do I have something across here? ILA or ILO? Nope. What about a play in column 5? Not necessarily a bingo, but ending with E. Yes. No, I was going to say re-empie, but I would need an E for that. I could stick my A or my R between E and R. Just 6 minutes on my clock and 23 tiles to come. I think I've been tarrying. So, I was going to say limper, but NI not good. Impor not good. I've got prime, but then that leaves 3 vowels, so that's not good. Okay, so I'm not in good shape here. Nothing which goes after double A. Gosh, I wasn't expecting this to be so devoid of opportunities. I could play Impy. Primey not good. There must be something ending with this E. But I'm not seeing it. This feels pretty bad. Pretty bad. Only 14 points and a terrible rack lead, but it's just the time pressure. I just don't have time to find a better play. This isn't giving much away and it's blocking the E, it's just the Rackley, which is terrible. Okay, I'm going with this. Yeah, not surprisingly a vowel-heavy rack. All of my own doing. I do have Rory in column 12, but that's terrible. It's providing floaters. So this is what happens when you make a bad play. Not only is the play bad in itself, but you then have a tricky rack that you have to deal with, and it may not be possible to deal with it. I've got no scoring tiles. So do I have anything using the Q, an ILO play or an ILE play? I have Ilea, ILEA. That might get me back on track should it remain available. 24 points. That's been blocked. Only 18 for my opponent, and he burns 6 tiles, which is good. I don't no longer have anything beginning IL. What about a play beginning with the M or AM? Four minutes on my clock, 15 tiles in the bag. I'm just not seeing anything here. So what about playing off just OE? Can I play that one square higher up? Only 9 points, but the rack leave's not too bad, especially with this column 12 bingo lane. And no R's to come, so this is okay. But is there somewhere much better I can play OE? Only 3 minutes on my clock. I'm going with this. Terrible. Just draw 2 more vowels. However, remaining tiles not looking massively bingo-y. There's a W, X and Y. However, if you take those out of the equation, they are looking bingo-y. Opponent burns an S fairly cheaply, so could have the other one. 8 minutes on my clock, and just 10 points between us. So I'd like to play off... Well, I can play over for 8. Again, keeping this half-decentish rack leave. Anywhere better for O and A? Two minutes on my clock. I'm going with this. Well, I do have a scoring tile in the Y, but in a way that's bad because it means that my opponent's has got a rack which doesn't have that non-bingo-y tile on it. No bingo beginning with A or R. So where are the Y spots on this board? There's windy. There's the Y next to the O, so I could play YA. I'm expecting my opponent to come down with a bingo. He's probably got the blank. It's only the W and the X which are non-bingo-y. And my lead is only 19 points, so I'm going to struggle to come back. And if opponent bingos, he'll be emptying the bag, so I would have to bingo with this rack, and I haven't seen any 8s with it. If opponent doesn't bingo, maybe I can play in column 12 to take out all remaining bingo lanes. Difficult, because any placing the A or the R between E and R is still going to allow a bingo beginning with S. But I could disrupt bingos beginning underneath the Y. Now through an L I would have drearily. So if opponent plays in a bingo in columns, he doesn't. What's he done? He's played AW for 22 points. There's 4 tiles in the bag. I need to play off 3, including probably a Y and an R. 2 minutes on my clock. So I could play Yer and Mower. Does score actually matter right now? I don't think it... Well, maybe it does, because there's just 3 points between us. I was just thinking whoever bingos wins. 2 minutes on my clock. I think I do want to play off Y and R. Quite a lot of E's to come, but duplicate E not a problem. I'm going to play this because I need the time. Yer for 12. So I have Denarii on my rack. That plays in column 14, making Ed and Re. Opponent may have the X. He may not be able to bingo, but I have no other bingo lane. And my lead, just 9 points. An opponent could still win if he plays off just one tile, if he plays off just the X somewhere. I play Denarii. He's probably going to have a winning bingo. There's no super obvious spot for just the X. Do I have any other bingos? I think these are the I think there are only 7-letter lanes. I don't think there are any floaters on the board anymore. 7 minutes on my opponent's clock and 1 minute on mine. So what if opponent bingos? Will I have an 8-letter bingo through one of his floaters? Well, he won't. Fantastic. My opponent has emptied the bag. Denarii remains available. Do I have a better spot for it? Or, sorry, do I have an 8-letter play through the E or the X? Even if there are, they won't be better. So, Denarii for 75 for the win. Fantastic. And the final score, 349 for my opponent, 418 for me, a winning margin of 69 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow. Super tight close to that game. Did opponent miss a win? So, me to go first. I played bump, and I like that. Opponent's rack plays hour. Now I have a choice of bingos, and I go with Ventus. Ventress and Venator's also available, and a few others I didn't consider. Opponent plays Cop, so he played Cop from this rack. He wasn't keeping a fantastic rack, he was just scoring well. Glebe, that's nice. That's very nice, because it takes nothing after it, and doesn't offer very much, and decent score in rack leave. I struggled with this rack and went with Beg. Glebe, a better play. So, 7 points difference, and Lace is not 7 points better than CE, but it is a better rack leave, maybe 3 or 4 points better. So Beg's certainly not a disaster. Great bingo for my opponent. Now I have Clavate, but it's homeless. Caveat, that's nice. J2. Oh, that is nice, yeah. So I do Clave for 24. Yeah, I could have got 30 for Caveat, that would have been better. Opponent plays A. And that's fantastic, because I have auto-load from a really unpromising rack. Opponent's rack, no bingo there. Plays Title. Great, I didn't miss a play here. I nearly played Iliad. Hesitated for the reasons stated, and went with Cilia. And it's not just about scoring rack leave, it's very much about column 1. Opponent plays Chin. Wow, look at that, and he kept double N, double T. Pretty horrible, but I didn't know that. I play Fizz for 38, and I still like that. So I have a 62-point lead. And from opponent's perspective, he's not in good shape. Plays Fatty. Now Jiber, F. And Claver. Okay, that's quite nice. 26 points, decent rack leave. I think I struggled with this rack. Went with Jin for 14. Yeah, so Jiber. Definitely better, but look at that. Only 3 plays above 20. Roji at I12. Okay. Now, opponent's rack, he plays Wind, and this is the point at which I really started to struggle. Only 7 minutes on my clock, and I just couldn't find a single move I was happy with on this board. K3. Opa, that's quite nice, 27 points. Not a terrible rack leave. But look at this, almost everything else below 20. So I went with Impy for 14 in the end. Probably not best. Opponent plays Finner, and at this point I lead by 26. Look at this, nothing at all over 20. Really grim stuff. So I play Mo for 9. Opponent plays Togas. Did he have an S at this? Yes, he had both S's, but didn't have the blank. And at this point there's just 10 points between us, and I've got all 1-pointers and no bingo. So I play over for 8. Yeah, and I think that's keeping the best rack leave. Opponent has the W, so no bingo for him. Plays or. Now, I'm looking to play off just Y and R. Actually, Rio would have been a nice play, R, Y and A. There were 4 tiles in the bag, so I could have played off 3, and I think Rio would have been a better play. But I play Yer for 12. And I think I got lucky because the opponent has the X this turn. The previous turn he had the W, so he's so close to a bingo. And look at that, the blank was in the bag. So he plays X, picks up the blank, but to no avail because I'm able to go out with denarii. So absolutely nail-biting game. I think this is very representative of how games in tournaments can go when you're short on time, and it's just really hard to find the best move on a tricky board with tricky racks, and all you can see is plays scoring around 10 points or slightly above and leaving you with crappy rack leaves. And it's good experience. You've just got to do the best you can and accept the fact that you're making suboptimal plays, and not to give up hope. And in this case, hope triumphed, and I was able to slot in a winning bingo at the death. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.